That was a great time to hit record. What is good? I am Andy Malafrina here with the host with the most, Pat George, and we are ready to bring you another episode of Drag the Lake. Patrick, how the hell are you, buddy?
I'm doing well. I said I was ready, and then snot burst out my nose.
Oh, damn. Dude, that was probably cut at the perfect time. They probably thought you just did a fat line.
Oh, I
and
did.
now they just know you're all fucking nerdy and sick. Nah, dude,
Allergies.
yeah, dude. Right before we record, which podcast is this again?
Drag the lake. No
Right
more
before,
heroes.
yeah, right before we record Drag the Lake, we fucking hit big rails and we talk about metalcore because that's those two things go hand in hand. I feel like actually I feel like metalcore has a surprisingly low drug addiction rate. I just feel like it's mainly egos that
Yeah.
hurt them rather because I'm thinking about it and you hear the people like, obviously there's the classics like Johnny Craig,
Pamela
and
Beesus.
what?
Pamela Beesus.
Who?
The guy from As I Lay Dying that had his wife tried to get his wife killed.
Oh yeah, that was all drug addiction. Not
But surprisingly, I don't think it was. That's what I'm saying. Is you know what it is normally? Christ. I think that's the problem.
no, or you know what's funny? I was actually doing I was randomly doing a deep dive on Austin Carlisle. Do you remember that gentleman?
Austin Carlisle. No.
Do you remember Attack Attack?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was he was the original singer, and his initially I felt really bad for the guy because he had like a rare heart condition that would like flare up every couple years. So he would go for a minute with Attack Attack.
So he had a lot of heart attacks.
Yes, he would. I don't know.
We have a good time here.
We have fun here.
We have a good
guys.
time.
Like and subscribe.
Attack.
But Pat, you're off the show. You'll be hearing from my lawyers.
Oh, you just giving me cardiac arrest.
I want to die. I think I might kill.
I had strep throat.
If you keep up with these jokes, I might kill myself.
Okay.
But you just start doing more jokes. But oh yeah, no, he would like go through he would go through his like heart issues would flare up. So like every couple of years he'd have to like essentially quit his band. And then, it would just be a certain amount of time. Well, then also too, apparently his personality, from what I've heard, his personality might have been kind of a lot. So like a lot of the bands, they would just like use that excuse to like, yeah, we moved on to someone we liked who didn't have a goofy heart.
Oh, geez.
But he kept like starting bands. They'd be really big in like the metalcore scene, and then his heart would flare up and he'd have to like move on. But then eventually he apparently had some I don't know the details, and we've talked about it before, me and Pat being literal SVU detectives. We like to be very on the up and up. We like to be fair. So I don't know the details about it, but word on the street was Austin Carlisle was getting up to some nonsense. And he very quickly, now I think he was religious the whole time. Like he was like, he was really religious the whole time, but it happened to be when he was getting in trouble for goofing off a little too much. That's when he like really, really, really found Christ. And he's doing like speeches on big ass mega church stages and shit like that. I know that happened to you ever hear of Front Porch Step? Oh dude, he was like a emo. Yeah, he was a fella. He was a
name?
What?
That's his name. Front Porch Step. Is Porch his middle name?
Yeah, Porch is his middle name. It's Mr. Front Step.
Get out of here.
No, dude, the Front Porch Step guy. So he was getting in trouble because I think he went through a similar thing that happens with a lot of these emo bands where they get called out for talking to like teenagers and shit.
Yeah.
They blow the fuck up. And they're normally just like weird. Cause if you look at like an emo singer or like a singer of like a pop punk band or one of those like Midwest emo bands, which is a good mix between like pop punk and emo.
Yeah.
If you really look at like lyrical content, if you can tell, you're like, oh, you were fucking weird in high school and you were like a dork and you definitely like, I don't know how to explain it exactly, but you'd be the kid writing like fucking poetry in class. And as someone who sat in the back of history class and wrote song lyrics, I'm not judging per se.
I read magazines. I just read a lot of martial arts magazines.
damn, why did we go to high school together? We were definitely the two kids that like, hey, do you get made fun of way too fucking much? Yeah, I
Yeah.
do too. Do you want to join forces to take over the world?
No.
And then you and me just, and then we'd be like, do you just want to eat cheeseburgers and smoke weed?
There we go. That's my speed. I thought about that. The lyrics or like the gross shit in high school. What's I don't know the lead singer of Billy Talent. I would just call him Billy, but the lead singer of Billy Talent, when he sang that thing about eating lunch in the bathroom, I was like, ew, dude. Gross. But I was like, oh, he's bullied. He's bullied into it. That's
Dude, there's a
I,
weird.
I
But
thought he
there's a
just chose to eat in the bathroom and everybody made fun of him. I'm like, of course, you're disgusting. What are
Nah,
you doing?
dude, there's a weird fucking thing that happens. Like if you take a lot of these like emo lead singer, like a lot of these emo bands, if you take the lyrics and just comprise that into a person of like these are the things you're saying, these are the things you're doing.
Yeah.
It's a lot of times a guy where you're like, yo, dude, you're a little bit a lot.
Yeah.
You're a little bit.
I get why they made fun of you. Like,
Yeah, I get why,
I would
and
probably too.
yeah, the way you talk about your ex-girlfriend, it sounds like a you thing, dude. You might
Yeah.
need to like get over it.
Yeah. I think she's moved on, and maybe instead of like pining over, because I guarantee you sent her the song, and that's creepy. That's a little bit creepier than I think. Even
Yeah.
like it's like I wait outside your bedroom. You're like, what? I don't know who. By the way, I don't know if that was Huey Lewis or what song that was, but it's just a lot of times the poetry can get so much that like I think sometimes just people just want to have a good time.
Well, dude, I was thinking about that. I was going back and listening to old from first to last.
Mm-hmm.
And like, wait, let me pull up the one song, Ride the Wings of Pestilence, which first off, like what? Like you just here, wait. Let me just look up from first to last and shout out Derek. He let me interview him a while ago, and lots of cool ass dudes. Actually, fucking most of From First to Last is my new favorite emo band. Yeah, I love them so much I can't remember their fucking name.
By the way, speaking of bands ending up being in other band or guys being in other bands, this guy Austin Carlisle, apparently he's also a baseball coach from Pensacola, Florida, and he achieved prominence and is formerly in Attack and also Of Mice and Men. That's
yeah, he was in a
like
well. That was the other thing he did of Mice and Men, and they ended up getting actually like really fucking popular too. Now they're just literal butt rock, which is crazy.
By the way, what was the shenanigans? If he was goofing off, what was it? Was it the booze or was it the youngins?
With Austin Carlisle?
Yeah,
I think it was Of Age Gals, but like I said, I don't know the details, so I'm not
of age, but
I'm not going to spend a lot of time casting stones because I don't know all the details.
Yeah, I'm not seeing a ton about it, but I get it's probably a while back.
But yeah, dude, like so this is From First to Last to catch everyone up if they're not familiar, and like they're a little
much.
Yeah, they're literally writing fucking Skrillex's former band. Right. And they're like literally writing songs like Ride the Wings of Pestilence, where it's just like, yeah, you little emo boys, you're really into like fucking ancient societies and all that stuff.
These are the kind of slight skinny backs that you would see Wings tattooed on or even on the back of their shirt. I'm sure they had shirts like that. Riding the Wings of Pestilence is one of those things that it would seem like I was trying to like make fun of them, but I would genuinely want to know what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, but also too, you're like, because I even said ancient societies, like whatever the fuck that is, where you're just like, you're into like ancient myths, and I don't even know what the fucking name for it was, but you just look at all those like little skinny emo boys, and then you hear like they have a song called Ride the Wings of Pestilence, where you're like, that's not you. What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you guys fucking doing?
Exactly. It's like one of those things of like, I get it. You're deep and you have like a lot of emotions going on, but like, what are you talking? This is like epic proportions.
You guys are painting your nails black and saying raw to get some pussy. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck do you know about Pestilence? But then if you read the lyrics, it's just like the lyrics. So you already have that crazy song name, and then you read the lyrics. It's literally hiding behind the shadows. I'll be waiting in the dark to drive this blade straight through your heart. I'll drag your body to the car as blood races down my arm. I think everyone will wonder where you are. And like, you just read that and you're like, hey, what's that about?
Yeah. What is this a confession? Or is this like what's going on here?
Because that was the funny part is a lot of these emo bands were like young teenagers, so they
My
weren't.
daughter listens to you, you creep.
But a lot of these emo bands were like young teenagers, so they weren't like old and smart enough to like be poetic. So their songs were literally like, "You left me, I will kill you." And
Red flags. I think that's what they call it. This is going to be Exhibit A one day. Because
no,
again, like Tim Lambesis, that's another case. You know, they sing about being like they sing about super epic shit, and they do all the. It's the craziest thing of like you have this like this kind of veil of like they all had like remember like for a while every band you were like are they Christian? Are they Christian band? Like the harder the heavier they got, the more Christian they seemed to be.
yeah,
And they got to a point where like I think even with like Tim like any of these other guys where they're singing about killing you or your final mistake or some shit like that where you're like they all kind of seem like red flags, but then like a couple of them actually popped up being for real.
yeah.
So like it wouldn't be crazy to be like, hey, maybe we should just do a deep dive of where are these guys from first to last.
From first to last.
Look for any missing persons in that town. One out of four of those guys definitely got to be. There's some kind of that's one of these songs is a confession for sure.
Well, that's like it's this weird thing because like as you know, like we both have written music, we do comedy,
Yeah,
where and you're not supposed to say this and it's gonna feel cringy coming out, but we are artistes to a degree. Now let's pause the episode real quick while I slip my wrist.
I was just gonna go jerk off real quick.
Okay, fair enough. But no, like we all so we bop around in that sphere, and I'm also like a big I've talked about it on No More Heroes, like I'm a huge freedom of speech guy and all this other stuff, but it still is a thing sometimes, like you said with the guy from As I Lay Dying. He paid he was gonna pay a dude to kill his wife.
Yeah,
So it's there, and you've seen it in rap too, where they flat out like will be like, I was here this night at this time, and I had this type of gun, and I shot that guy with that gun.
that's right. It was me, motherfucker. Like
Yeah,
that's
it was me. Oh, here's surveillance footage if you weren't sure it was me or not, because it was definitely me. And then
like watermarked.
yeah, so it always and then you'll listen to like I'm just thinking about this because one of my favorite bands, and I have a tab of a story open and we're gonna talk about later. But like with Every Time I Die, you know what I mean? Like Keith's lyrics were always like really weird and kind of like out there and depressing and da da da. And then you come to find out, oh, he's a weird out there depressed guy.
He's
So
kind
it
of an
makes
isolated dude.
it's kind of this thing where it's I think a lot of people. Well, how I'm also relating this back to what we brought up originally about Mr. Porch Step. But because a lot of people will see, like, I remember the thing always coming up with there was like a couple years ago, there was a big outing of all these like emo bands, lead singers were like weird, manipulative jerks,
gloomy.
and they were like they're a lot, and they're all like emotionally overpowering. And then I'm like, you guys listen to the bands, right? Like you listen to the lyrics they wrote. Now, obviously, someone like Front Porch Step who can't keep his shit together, and I don't know if I got this far into it, but he was like texting and being like verbally abusive to like literal fucking teenagers. So I'm not gonna be like, well, you should have listened to his lyrics.
Yeah.
He was clearly like, I'm so ready to yell at a 14-year-old. But no, but at the same time, though, where it's just like, we're like, you have these bands literally writing lyrics of like, you broke up with me, you should die.
Right.
Like, you're like, yeah, I think they're gonna be shitty dudes sometimes.
But that means we should probably look into Matt Skiba as well, because he has wrote some very specific circumstances where you're like, oh, he's like, there's things I believe one of the band's like side project things he was doing, Heavens, there's like a thing where he's like, you're looking up at me with holding a knife, watch me as I smile watching you die or some shit like that, and you're like, damn.
Yeah. Now I'm not
like, you're just gonna be like killing, like there's like detailed horrific scenes that are being sung about beautifully, if I may say.
Now
but
I'm
also
not
like very specific.
now I'm not trying to be like the fucking Christian League or whatever the fuck they're talking about and being like, yo, come bring your NWA albums and we'll run them over with a steamroller. I'm not trying to be like that.
They
I'm just
actually did have attitudes, all of them.
But like I'm not trying to be that guy, but at the same time, it is funny sometimes. Like I think of it in the context because whenever it comes to any of this shit, like not to we might have a skewed perspective being comics, but I always feel like comedians get more shit
A
for stuff
lot.
like this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you could literally these bands could write detailed songs about murdering someone or and which is a really funny crossover between emo and hip hop. You
Yeah.
could write a very detailed song about murdering someone, and at
Yeah.
that point of the sentence, you don't know if I'm talking about an emo band or a rap group.
That would be a fun segment we should do. We should read lyrics and say, is this a written confession or is this a song?
But wait, what was the point I was gonna make? Yeah, no, you have these groups that are writing like literal. They'll be writing songs where they're literally talking about like murdering people, but it's over like a fucking jingle. So people are like, "Hey, that's a nifty fucking song there." Or the one I always pointed out because I remember when practical effects started to get way more realistic, and I watched one of the later it was either Saw or fucking Hostel.
Mhm.
Like I remember I watched the first Hostel, and from what I remember, it didn't feel. It felt like it was as close you could get to like a legal snuff film. I don't
Yeah.
remember it having a lot of substance, and I was like, no one ever asks like, "Hey, Eli Roth, I'm not saying it's a bad movie, but you had a bunch of movies to make. Why'd you pick on the murdering one without a lot of substance to it?" And I'm
Yeah.
not saying we need to like go after these people. I'm just saying like, what is it about comics
Yeah.
that fucking get you where you'll just watch Hostel and not even for a second be like, Eli Roth's probably not a fucking weirdo.
Yeah, like it is weird because he also had that the cannibal one. Like they're like it's because they enjoy the like the creepy movies that they were watching growing up and stuff like that, probably way too young, much
Yeah.
like I'm sure I did or you did or anything like that. But like I feel like that's the thing where you're right. There doesn't seem to be a red flag that's brought up because they're doing it. And the more realistic or the more traumatic the scenes are, a lot
Yeah.
of times the more like praise they get. So it is funny that the more graphic or
Oh yeah, dude.
terrible
If you
the
want to
subject
fucking
the comic says, you know what I mean? Like if they say something, if a comic has a joke about rape or just jokingly says, "Boy, oh boy," like it's like it's the thing. If I say the thing that I would say to you, to strangers, people go ape shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like something like the Tosh thing, where it's just like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if she got raped now? No, obviously no. But in the moment, we all get that feeling of like, boy, oh boy, you piece of shit. I just want the worst. I want to say the worst thing to you.
Yeah.
That kind of thing of like, but that's the thing is like he's imagining or envisioning or Eli Roth, I mean, is actually putting it out there and saying, here is some terrible, awful things. Again, in detail, look at it, watch it.
Yeah.
Like, boy, oh boy, this is entertaining.
You're like, look at this, and to make it very clear, I'm not bringing this up to be like, well,
It is weird though.
we need to go after Eli Roth, but I'm always just
No.
being like, why do comics always get questioned way more than anyone else? Like a comic was just telling a joke. Eli Roth
Not a franchise.
yeah, Eli Roth recreated a murder.
Right.
You know
Murder.
what- yeah, like
Torture.
and like no, you know what I mean? I guess what I'm trying to say is just like I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
We need to be-
we
we
need to
need
take
people-
Eli Roth fucking down. He's had it too good for too
No,
fucking
the other way.
long.
Other way. Other way.
No,
No.
I saw those videos. He sanctioned murders, Pat.
Yeah.
I
mean,
just
let's
I'm just
make-
mad because I didn't realize Hostel wasn't real.
it's too real, damn it.
Nah, but no, it is this interesting thing. Sorry, go on.
Well, no, I was gonna say the early on the Blair Witch was a thing that I didn't. It was at that time I couldn't tell. Like they tried to make it look so real and tried to make it so believable as a
Yeah.
story that like when I saw them as guests on like the Tonight Show, I was just like, oh, like
Oh,
all of this is horse shit. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
was able to separate, like I think that was also probably near the time I stopped watching wrestling on a regular basis too, because I was just kind of like, so it is bullshit. I get it. Okay, you know what I mean? Like it's one of those things of like,
Yeah.
I did enjoy the drama of it, but like the performance of it is just, it's just a bunch of guys jumping around.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's cool, it's fun, but it's also like I get that I was able to separate the art from the artist at that time. So like it doesn't ever alarm me when a rapper says I shot somebody, or when a fucking metal singer says I'm gonna fucking rip your guts out and eat your soul or some shit, because I'm still able to, even though I feel like you're right, we all need to have that same thought of like, oh yeah, none of this is real, like it's all just bullshit. And just every once in a while when it does happen to be real, just go, oh look at that, it is a coincidence, because there are so many fucking artists singing about murder. There's so many fucking actors portraying a murder or something like that. If every once in a while there's a real one, it's just a coincidence.
Well, I also too, I think a lot of times, because like we were joking about how, the dude from Front Porch Step, he's writing all these like he's writing these lyrics where he's being a lot, and then it comes to turn out like, oh, he was writing those lyrics because he's a bad guy. But I think also on the flip, I was thinking about this when I was listening to a bunch of like deathcore music, because that stuff's literally like, you will repent when the fucking waves of hell rain over you, blah. And you're like, I don't know how many of them are actual, like most of them are like vegan pussies. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
a lot of these hardcore, and I mean that in a jokingly kind way, where it's like, they're all these like gentle teddy bears that just have too many tattoos and want to eat fucking vegan cupcakes. And it's like, I think a lot of it too is this avenue. Like I was thinking about that when I'm gonna start 18 more sentences before I finish any of them. Get ready, boys. No, I was thinking about it when I was going to see like Knock Loose, and I was in the pit. And when I was in the pit, I was like, I was just being a fucking menace. But like, it's not like I'm a menace day to day. You know what I mean? Like, you watch me when I'm hanging out with my nieces and nephews. I turn into like a big pussy, and I'm just like, or like when I'm around my cat, I turn into like a fucking bitch, and I'm
Right.
just like, how you doing there, little buddy? Blah blah blah. But I think there's these moments that people need. To like bring out the darkness or whatever the fuck, to sound corny. And actually that brings it back to Eli Roth, and a really great example, because Eli
Yeah.
Roth was doing fucking Hostel and all these fucked up movies, but then he was also making Spy Kids.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, sometimes we're joking.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes, it's this interesting fucking minefield you got to maneuver, because sometimes, you're listening to R. Kelly and he's got a song called Age Ain't
Exactly.
Nothing But a Number.
Right.
But then other times you got a dude, and this was kind of like the point I was trying to get to from the beginning. You'll get a dude like Eli Roth who's writing these like fucked up movies, but I guarantee, actually, another great example, I think two dudes who are like this, Eli Roth and Rob Zombie. Like, have you ever seen Rob Zombie in interviews?
Yeah.
If you didn't look at him looking like a rock star, like he was telling this story on fucking Jim and Sam maybe, or Howard Stern, I forget which show. He was telling this story about how he's trying to get a fucking skate park or something in his neighborhood made.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're like, that's not, but then when he makes his movies, he's like, yo, look at my wife's tits, she's about to get raped. You
Right.
know what I
So
mean? Like, that's all of his fucking movies. So
this is the
sometimes,
beauty of being an artist, I think. Like, sorry,
yeah, go ahead.
beauty of it. Like that, I think you're making a great point. That's the thing of like, sometimes it is a coincidence, and sometimes like it. But if Rob Zombie ended up having been a serial killer over this whole time,
Yeah.
everybody would be like, well, of course, look at his art. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You
No,
can
it's
say it either way. But if you're just that, I think Rob Zombie's Rob Zombie and Eli Roth, both of them,
they're great
both of them,
examples.
they're both great examples of like, if you see him starting a cat sanctuary and making, like you said, vegan cupcakes or some shit. You know what I mean? Like,
If you see Rob Zombie starting a cat sanctuary, you're like, motherfucker's doing Pet Cemetery. I knew it.
knew it. Perfect. Yeah. Watch.
Yo,
I'm
Rob, sometimes dead's better. Just saying, Rob. Yeah, man. No, and I think that's the point I really wanted to bring up, because I wasn't trying to like come at Eli Roth. I was just more using that example to be like, yo, what, like this, like, realize you're being hypocrites when you're coming at comics. And also, I think comics are way more willing to, because that's our whole thing about like,
You got to
like a
let
lot,
it play out.
Comics are easier to get at, and they have more frail egos, and comics are more willing to do the dance with you.
Right.
If you come at Eli Roth, he's gonna be like, "Cool, I'm gonna make 7 more Hostiles. I don't care."
Yeah.
Comics are way more willing to like get down in the mud with you. So I think people view because comics are an easier target because I think we have more or nah. I feel like actors and all those Hollywood types have way more frail egos, but they're way better at like hiding it and pretending like they're not psychopaths. Like,
Yeah.
yo, I saw this fucking thing, yo, and I'm not one to just bring up old shit. You know what I mean? Like just for the sake, like, because I have old shit where I fucked up. I would hate to be judged on like something I did 10 years ago and for people to never get past that. You know what I mean? Because like
Yeah.
I've done so much dumb shit in the past. I would hate for people to never get past that. But at the same time, bro, there's some shit that's just fucking weird. Like I was doing my show Friday and I forget how the fuck this got brought up. But apparently back in the day, and this actually ties in with music. But let me type his name in. Neil Patrick Harris, who, you know, known lovely man, correct?
Sure. Yeah, he's the gay icon of our lifetime.
Yeah. But no, apparently
And it only happened like halfway through because at the first part he was just a child actor, and then the second part he was like, "Oh my god, gay icon! Look at that."
I don't even know if I want to show this picture. It's so fucking weird. But
What?
apparently,
I honestly don't know what you're talking about, which is crazy.
Well, apparently like 10 years ago, this like resurfaced and I guess was going around a couple months ago back in May. And someone randomly brought this up to me at the show Friday night. But apparently, like 10 years ago on Twitter, when people were like, before they realized it was like a real place that could have consequences or like that would have reactions to the things you did, bro, at a Halloween party, a Halloween party 3 months after Amy Winehouse died, Neil Patrick Harris commissioned a very realistic cake that was just like called, it was just supposed to be Amy Winehouse's corpse.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and you're like,
awesome.
You're like, oh, Neil's sick, dude.
Yeah.
But yo, I'm a big proponent of this. Like, you fucked up, you're sorry, let's leave it in the past. But that's a weird thing to do, man.
Yeah,
that's
a
where
thing to do.
That's a thing I always love to bring up about Hollywood people, where I'm just like, they're not like us all the time.
Okay, so the only difference between that is I made it. I don't know if does Facebook do the same thing as Twitter, because I don't know if he shared it on Twitter
with memories.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, because it definitely got taken off of Facebook, and I think it got Matt Brown banned from Facebook for like a month or something.
That's
but
really
I baked him a birthday cake with a bunch of rainbow sprinkles and stuff like that. I made the little funfetti cake, and I got the letters and I put happy birthday F word.
You hit him with an agate.
A hard agate. I gave him a hard T, dude. And I gave him a hard T, and he loved it, and I loved it because I thought it took me a long time to make the cake. the commitment.
It'd be great if it was a shitty looking cake, but all the detail was on the agate.
It was a beautiful cake, and all of the detail was in the agate.
That's so fucking funny, dude.
So it was one of my favorite, most brilliant moments, but it definitely got him in trouble, and I think it didn't get me in trouble, even though he tagged me in it. But I gave him the cake. I was like, "Hey, happy birthday!"
Yeah,
and it was honestly one of my favorite memories. But I'm like, oh yeah, that's gonna come back. So I was also like, I kind of want it to come back because I also go, get mad at it. What are you gonna get mad at? Neither one of us are gay. I gave that to him. Like I didn't post it anywhere. I gave it to him, and then it's a rainbow cake.
Wait, how'd it get on the internet? He posted it.
He was like, "Oh my god, this is the best birthday gift ever."
Wait, how long ago was this?
It was like probably like 6 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, something like that.
Dude, it's funny how
it was not okay then either. That's what I'm saying. It was not a different
but still
time.
though,
it wasn't okay.
But still though, like 5-6 years ago, it's funny how much more freewheeling and dealing even like fucking 5 years ago we were on the internet.
Yeah. It was well again, I was like, oh, this is hilarious. And I just kind of went with it. And I didn't think, you're right. I didn't think of the consequences and then he got most of the consequences in the moment. But I'm like, there's for sure there's some gonna be something. There's gonna be something that's and I don't know if that's the worst of it, but I'm saying like that's definitely that's the worst thing I can think of in recent years.
That's pretty funny.
Internet time.
That's actually pretty funny. No, like I said, like with this fucking Amy Winehouse cake, I'm not like I am a person who is like, I'm not gonna convict you of your worst crime, but there is a thing where you go, yo, Neil, what the fuck, dude?
You better believe I'm gonna be bringing this cake up when if I get my cake bullshit, I'm gonna be like, yeah, but Neil Patrick Harris.
I think there are certain things sometimes where it begs the question of like, yo, why did you do that?
Did you
Can you
hate
imagine
Amy Winehouse or something like that? You know what I mean? Like,
well, I think sometimes too, like I think well, this is the other part where you got to give them a little bit of you got to give them a break and give them a pass because we've experienced this a million times. A joke, like a fucked up joke that bombs just it just feels real. And
Yeah.
that's where I give everyone a little bit of a pass when they get offended at jokes. Although deep down in your core, I do think getting offended at a joke is just a
ridiculous.
dumb. It's dumb. Like logically, it's very stupid. But here's the thing: you can't avoid that initial emotional reaction. So I get it. When people get offended by a bad joke that was like offensive, it feels real.
Yeah.
In that moment, but then
you realize
that was just
I didn't mean that.
Yeah,
I didn't mean the mean thing that you got mad at. So like,
yeah,
it's okay.
And
like,
then a lot of times when people are going for it and they're not good at going for it, it hits and you're just like, what the fuck, dude?
So, was this not taken well back then?
Like, I don't know,
because I have never heard of this. That's crazy. I thought you were gonna say, oh, he went to a Halloween party in blackface. I was gonna be like, damn, that's crazy.
I guarantee you he fucking covered this up hard.
Yeah, he had to have, because he's a darling. And like, but also like, was it so it was of her corpse?
Yeah,
it wasn't like a tribute to her.
It was like of her degrading. Here, I'll send you the link because I don't know if I'm like allowed to put this on YouTube.
The picture. Oh my god, is it that good?
I don't know. I might be overly cautious. The picture's also just upsetting to me.
All right.
I actually might be.
Jesus.
Did you pull it up?
Hold on. No, I thought I did.
I also might just being overly cautious. I don't know how the fuck YouTube works.
So you just want me to share it on my end?
I'll just show it. What am I doing?
No,
I'll just show it.
I got it.
Why am I being a bitch?
You're not.
It's here. Okay. There we go.
We're just talking about cake cancer.
Here, look at the screen.
Oh my god.
Yeah, dude.
What the fuck?
You know what I mean? Like, if you show up to a party and see that, you'll just be like, dude, who the fuck are we hanging out with?
That's disturbing as fuck. That doesn't even have to be Amy Winehouse's face to be like the fact that he named it that though.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's a thing where you're like, Neil, what the fuck, dude?
That is nuts. That's not even funny. Can I say this honestly? That like I honestly thought you were gonna send like almost like an Operation style, like kind of cartoonish. That is graphic.
No, that one for the people.
There's no way she looked like that, by the way. What did you do to her?
For the people listening for the people just on audio, it was literally just like Google. It just looked like a degrading corpse. So weird. Awful. But yeah, I don't know.
I kind of wish I didn't see that
now. Well, let's talk about him.
But we forgive you, Neil.
Just put us in a fucking movie.
Remember that, okay? In case any of this weird cake business comes up again, just remember, we forgive you, Neil. That was horrible.
Whatever cakes you want to eat at your weird Illuminati Hollywood parties, we forgive you.
We forgive you. Adrenaline is important. We know that.
Adrenochrome.
What? That's what I said.
No, you didn't.
Yeah, I know.
So, how was your holiday, Pat?
Good until that. All right. It was good. It was Dom and I mainly. We hung out at home. We cooked I made some carrot soup. She made a delicious turkey.
Oh, you're talking heavy on your carrot soup. How'd that come out, buddy?
It was not great. The first time was better. I fucked up, I think.
Didn't you say you were gonna make that like tortellini sausage thing?
I made that as well. I didn't make that for Thanksgiving, but I made that beforehand. It's a good rainy day snack. I like Thanksgiving because I like cooking, and I also love. This is one of the greatest tips I've ever received ever, and I know this is a little late for this year, but Christmas is coming up, and anytime you go to a family gathering, this is the best. This was from Bill Burr. Bill Burr gave this out on his Monday morning podcast. I'm spreading this. I'm paying it forward. If you ever go to a family gathering, we didn't this year, it was just Dom and I. But if you're ever visiting family and you just need a break, offer to do the dishes. Go do the dishes, and then usually no one's going to offer to help you. And you can just go be in a room by yourself for a little bit. Yeah, you got to do dishes, but like that's a small price to pay for silence. So it was a thing that I think I always love doing, because it's one of those things it's also a nice thing to do.
Yeah.
For the most
so
part,
you get your own selfish satisfaction, and then but you also get bonus points with the group.
It's a win-win. Yeah, it's always like, oh, thank you so much. It's like, no problem. Stay here. It's no, you sit, enjoy the conversation. I'm just gonna go be alone. I'm gonna go listen to a podcast and fucking wash the dishes just like I do at home. I'm very much a homebody.
Yeah,
I'm trying not to be agoraphobic, but it's really nice and cozy to sit at home and cook with the wife and watch. What do we watch? We just kind of just hung around the house and just watched like fucking bullshit Disney Plus Wednesday.
Yo, I'll say this. Is that Wednesday good?
God damn, she's hot, man. She's 20 years old, also, guys.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the teenager version in the show.
You know what it is? This is my one sentence review of Wednesday. They done made the Addams Family Hogwarts.
What does that mean?
Exactly. It's like Harry Potter. They turned Addams Family into like Hogwarts, like Harry Potter. You know what I mean? So like she goes to the school and like there's a bunch of fucking weirdos there, and it's like, oh cool. So there's like houses, and then
she's going to like some school.
Yeah.
But wait, you wanted to bring this up for talking about like music and stuff that when you go back home and shit.
This was my thought. Like I was saying, we stayed home this year, but usually we'll.
Yeah, dude, I tried to fucking set you up, and you're just like, I made carrot soup. I was just like, this is your topic. Stop talking about soup.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. The thing we talked about before.
Like the whole time, I'm like, Pat, go into your fucking topic.
Well, you usually steer it, so I figured I was giving you're the captain.
It was your topic.
Huh? What'd you say?
It was.
Well, oftentimes, if you would have let me finish, Andy, you fucking rude piece of shit.
Fair enough.
We do go visit families back home in Florida. We have basically everybody's either at the bottom of Florida or the middle of Florida. But anytime we go back, is like there's always like songs or stuff that I feel like compelled to listen to when I kind of hit that like the Florida border, or like when I'm like in the like when I start driving around like my hometown and stuff like that. There's like stuff like certain music that reminds me like growing up there around.
And to anyone new to the podcast, Pat is born and bred Florida trash.
Now, I was born in New Jersey, thank you very much, but bred in Florida.
Yeah, you weren't. You're like, this ain't dirty enough.
Yeah, this ain't bad enough.
I gotta go down to the pits of hell.
Out of the frying pan into the toilet.
So wait, what? So basically, when you get to Florida, you just turn on LMFAO, right? The second
fucking crank Sublime, and I fucking roll the windows down, dude.
The second your plane hits Florida, you just hear boop 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 boop. You just start fucking shuffling into a gator's mouth.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why you. Yeah, that's what we were talking about beforehand. No, I like to. So I remember whenever it got cold, like the first cold snap we would get in Florida would usually be around like Thanksgiving time, and that was hoodie weather, baby. Florida winter.
I feel like hoodie weather in Florida is like 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's not long. It's basically our winter is like up here like fall and spring. Like that's like our winter weather is like brisk hoodie weather or something.
And is it still like muggy?
Yeah. Oh, no. That's also the other thing is it gets a little bit drier. Once the air starts getting dry, it's kind of like that was when me and my buddy would go downtown, St. Petersburg, and we would walk around the streets, blaring "Choking Victim" because we were cool guys.
Okay.
That was like, it was one of those things that like for some reason back home always reminds me of Choking Victim, a lot of Gwar. Like a lot of, for some reason, my holiday music around Thanksgiving time is usually Choking Victim, Guar, and it usually varies from like. Do you ever listen to Oscar?
No.
Oh man,
The Grouch?
Oscar. Oh no, you caught my sickness.
You're like, yeah, I usually listen to songs about trash. And
Uh,
I'm a
treat
big fan of Counting, actually.
No, I don't listen to the this is silly goose over here.
Wait, who's Oscar?
Oscar is a band I first found out about through Punkaramas. Like they were an Epitaph band that
Okay.
the lead singer was 16 years old. That was also like one of those things of like, I could do that one day. Uh it's speaking of fucking emo. This is like the most emo punk you can get before you're actually just emo. You know
Oh,
what I'm saying?
okay.
But
Nice.
very aggressive punk. Like very, very emotionally played, not just emotional lyrics. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But Oscar is something that I would highly recommend. It's good fall music. I would say Oscar, Choking Victim, and Guar are like bands that like when I start visiting home around the holidays, that's like those are like that's what I'm fucking cranking on the stereo. Old Guar and all that shit. Like I don't know, is there anything like that? Is like when you get home, when you go visit home and stuff like that again, do you ever have like those like not even just albums, but I guess bands or even maybe genres that you don't listen to as much unless you're like around that?
Yeah, maybe. I know actually it was funny. I actually heard a song that reminded me of like my shit back in the day, and it relates to fucking Florida. But did you ever listen to Less Than Jake?
Oh yeah,
The-
that was gonna be one of my honorable mentions. Yeah,
Yeah, they were
yeah.
like they were a big Florida band, and they had a song God damn it. I think it was called like Look What Happened. They were playing a pop punk mix at CrossFit the other day, and fucking Less Than Jake came up, and I remember because I gotta be honest, I fucking drifted the older I get, the more I drift away from ska a lot of times.
Mhm.
You know, like Real Big Fish, I like appreciate them, but I actually like they were my favorite. They were one of the bands I've seen the most live, and the older I get, the more I'm just like, eh. They just don't like they don't
Yeah.
do it for me that much anymore. And then a lot of I gotta listen to like the older ska, like the specials and shit like that. Cause that's when they were a little more broad in their sound. I think it was when I think it was when that like hit the it hit the suburbs in the 90s, and it
Yeah.
was all just a bunch of like dorky band students, and they're like horns over punk rock. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And it got a little bit sillier, but I do a lot of times if I want to go in the way back machine, I definitely go listen to ska and stuff like that. Oh my god. Sorry, this is a complete sidebar,
Oh,
but
perfect.
I got I got so let down because
Uh,
I was watching. I've been trying to learn more about the Clintons because not a not a fan. So
oh,
I was
heavy sidebar.
yeah, heavy sidebar. So I was watching this. I was watching that Hillary documentary on
Right.
Netflix and stuff. And then in the middle of it, this one band. You ever hear the Interrupters?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, just in the intro to this like Hillary Clinton documentary, like just the most like lying corporatist fucking politician you're ever gonna see. And then they start playing this song. Fuck, I forget what the song's called, but it's a real like we gotta fight the power. Yeah, what's your plan? They're like, what's your plan for tomorrow? Are you a leader? Are you a follower? Or whatever the fuck. And you're just like, under Hillary Clinton? And I was already on the edge with like the fucking interrupters because they were all now I may have taken it a little personally because they were like a cool libertarian band where they were just like literally writing songs like, yo, you either give me my liberty or I'm gonna kick you in the dick. And they
Yeah.
were like, and also I want to own a fucking gun because fuck you. You know what I mean? And then they started like leaning a little bit away from that. And then actually the funniest thing in the interrupters history was I guess so their lead singer was a big Ron Paul chick, and she, like to the point where she wrote a song, like worked with the campaign, wrote a song for the campaign.
Oh,
Like
wow.
she went on Alex Jones back in the day, and then they were like, oh, we don't want to do that, we want to make money and be mainstream, so they tried to lean more like liberal and shit like that. And then all their fans were like, yo bitch, why were you on Alex Jones' show? And they had to do this huge like apology campaign. And I was just because like I'm sitting back there like, ha ha, you tried to be a sellout and now they're mad at you.
Yep. Yeah.
But then yeah, I gotta be honest, and I'm not saying you have to hate Hillary Clinton like me, but like it would the like just watching a Fight the Power song of this band I used to love in the intro of this Hillary Clinton documentary.
Yeah.
Just I was upset. I was like, fuck you. Because I was always like teetering, maybe I'm being a little bit much. Then I saw this and I was just like, all right, fuck these guys.
Yeah, because you would think if they're Bernie supporters, they wouldn't be like, all right, well, I guess Hillary. Like you can't like it can't be both.
Well, it's just like, dude, it's like, well, that's like the weird thing about like fucking punk rock nowadays, where it's like I feel like back in the day, if you let a politician use your Fight the Power song in their fucking documentary, everyone would be like, ew, who the fuck are you? Like, you're giving your music. Because that's like, I think the broader point. I know people will laugh at me and be like, oh, really? Andy hates the Clintons. What a fucking hack. But like for real though, just like, oh, the punk band is helping support the politician. Like that just sounds so fucking corny.
That was the origin of the beef between Propaganda and NoFX. I didn't even know about this for the longest time, but actually it was because around the 2004 election, they actually backed Kerry. They were backing the Democratic candidate instead of just being like, hey, go out and rock the vote or go vote. You got to vote. It's important to vote. Like, you know how everybody does nowadays? The liberal people be like, it's very important to vote. Oh, yeah. You want us to vote for your person? No. We just want you to vote.
Oh, yeah, dude, that was the funniest part about the get out and vote shit.
Yeah,
you see like super liberal people be like, you have to get out and vote, and you're like,
I don't believe in either candidate. I don't think I should have to vote. And they're like, but you gotta vote.
Yeah, and you'd see some like super liberal actor being like, yeah, I don't care who you vote for, and you'd be like, really? So if I go vote for Trump right now, you're not going to be upset?
And they're like, no,
I don't care. You can vote. Yeah,
I think it's funny that like you can't say, because then there would always be this argument too. They're like, a vote for not voting is basically a vote for the wrong side, and it's like, but you're saying there's a wrong side.
Yeah,
like there it's not subjective anymore. There is a right and wrong. What is it? Collectively, people think kind of it sucks that like everything is 50-50 in this country. Everything seems to be either like 54-46 or some shit like that. But if you just say literally, I don't believe in either candidate or any candidate that's been brought in forward or anything like that, I don't think I have anybody to vote for. They're like, you have to choose a side. And it kind of sucks that like, no matter what, you can't just, oh, you can write somebody, like literally they're just saying like, you have to waste your time.
Yeah, well, that's the problem with the current game. That's the problem with the current system is there's like not an option. There's like, they're like, what you'd be like, well, what if I don't want to do any of this?
Right.
You know, and I know obviously that entails like you gotta go into a shed in the woods and fucking start your farm or what, but like almost as like a theoretical. You're like, what? Well, what if I don't want to do any of this? And they're like, well, no, you gotta do it.
Have to participate. And it's like, okay, well then that one. It's like, oh, you vote for that guy?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, no matter what, you can't have an opinion anymore unless you're like, everybody wants you to have an opinion, but if you don't have a thought out, like if you don't give a shit about a subject, it's like you get judged on that too.
That's not to go into this topic, but that is the pitfalls of democracy, where it would be like in your daily life, like if your car's acting up, you're not going to go like, well, I'm going to have to do all the research and figure this out. And it's like, no, you just go to the guy you trust and you say, fix my car. But when it comes to like voting and stuff, you're like, well, I guess I got to learn the ins and outs of healthcare now.
Yeah, I have to know everything. Oh, what is Prop 48?
Yeah.
I'm voting no, or I'm voting. It's legitimately, it's things like that where it's like, but we don't get to vote on things the things I want to vote on. I want to vote on not having elections like this anymore.
Yeah. Like having a later bedtime.
Having a later bedtime. I would like to get rid of daylight savings. And I would also like stricter, laws for Andy's speech, particularly. No one else.
For Andy specifically.
Just Andy.
I would like to write a law where Andy has to finish the Hillary Clinton documentary.
I would like to watch a movie where Andy fingers Hillary Clinton.
I would do that for the story.
Exactly. See, that's what I'm saying. This is how we bring people together. Our fingers.
Can you imagine? Oh, that'd be great too if you fingered Hillary Clinton and you were like, sulfur, knew it.
Knew it.
Alex Jones was right. Sulfur. To bring it back to the earlier conversation where I didn't go on a tangent on Hillary Clinton. No, it was
there with you.
I guess that's actually a good point though with like NoFX, but because they did like support John Kerry, and I'm still listening to NoFX, but I don't know it because it is a weird thing when you get into those political realms, and it is like, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to completely like avoid the system? Well, it's like when people are. It's like when you're trying to boycott a company and then you realize you can't maneuver throughout your day without that company affecting your day. And you're like, how do I maneuver throughout my day? And
but they didn't even try to maneuver. Like they were literally like, we back John Kerry.
Yeah.
And like they were even asked about it, like, what do you think of John Kerry? And he's just like, well, he's pretty cool. He snowboards.
Is that what they said?
Yeah, at least like he was like, that's what I remember that quote from Fat Mike. He's like, yeah, I don't know, he's pretty cool. He snowboards. It's like, dude, he's such a douche. Like it's like it's one of those things that I went with a person I trust in NoFX. It was like, okay, I guess I'll vote for John Kerry. He seems like a dud, but okay.
Yeah.
But they weren't. It sucked that they had to say that. They were like, we don't say go out and vote or even vote against Bush. They're just saying vote for John Kerry. And it was that, I think, that specific backing of an actual candidate that I think a lot of, not just propaganda, I'm sure, but they were just the only ones that like call them out on it. On their record label, by the way. I think they were still on the same on Fat Record.
Oh, really?
I don't know for sure if that
was I don't know. It's just a hard, that's a hard one with like punk rock and stuff. Because that does feel like the least punk thing to do. I will give NoFX credit because I read their book and I think Fat Mike was like, he was pretty straight up about it, where he's like, I know how it looked, but I just thought Bush was that bad.
Yeah.
And John Kerry was just a better option. So I was like, fair enough. I think with the whole thing with the interrupters, this just feels like so much more of a sellout move, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I think they also learned, because when it like everything, because it was that's just the same bullshit that happened with Trump again, was you gotta vote, but they learned this time, just go out and vote. Just they're like, they still made the not my president shirts and all that shit. Like you can say fuck the president, that's totally fine.
Yeah,
you start going like fuck the president and you should back this politician instead because they're different. You're like, nah, shut up.
I will say though,
liars.
I respect someone just being straight up like, this is who you should vote for, rather than like that fucking sneaky shit. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're not above. They're obviously NoFX is a band that's not above like making controversial points just to say like, yeah, we know that we have influence over a certain amount of youth out there, so we're just going to tell them to vote for somebody.
Yeah.
They're willing to manipulate their fan base for what, again, like you said, what they think is the common good. By the way, shout out to Hepatitis Bathtub and Other Stories. That is a great book.
It's a really good book.
I've actually I've audiobooked it a couple times.
It's also a great book. It's also a great book if you're not really like, able to read, like us. But no, for real though, it's like a bunch of short chapters, so it's a good book to hop in and out of.
It's like a group of stories. Yeah, it's
also like little shit too of you just wouldn't expect, where like there's a whole chapter on how their one guitarist just impulsively bought a coffee shop.
Yeah.
And it was just him trying to like manage like little shit like that was always fun and interesting. What was I gonna say? Oh, I was gonna say, back to the original topic about like when you go back to your hometown and stuff. I think a big thing for me a lot of times is listening to a lot of those emo and pop punk bands that I used to listen to, because I was like looking into some shit like this. Like, there's been a lot of examples where I'm trying to think. Like, I was listening to The Used a bunch the other day. They were a band where what was their fucking album? The Used, maybe Memories or whatever. They're like big album.
Is that the white one with the little big heart on it?
Oh no, it was the self-titled one. In Love and Death was the one with the heart. The self-titled was the the one with the chick on the cover. But
Uh,
like a thing with the Used is I was listening to like later stuff. They just don't like have it the same way that they used to back in the day.
yeah.
And so those turned into like big time capsules because a lot of these bands, we were talking about it with Thrice, like they used to be this cool emo band, like this fast emo band that had like metal riffs,
Yeah.
and then they just kind of turned into like some weird folk band. So because of shit like that, you don't really like stay up to date with them,
Right.
with those bands. So those bands stay in this like time capsule of like back then. So definitely listen to bands like The Used, Thrice, Sum 41, stuff
Yeah.
like that. Even
V2.
Blink 182, who we've talked about a bunch before, like I've listened to a lot of their newer shit, but anything after the self-titled, I did not put a shitload of time into listening. Although California was pretty good, but it just was more like, oh, this is a good album. I didn't have sort of like an emotional attachment to it. But yeah, I definitely just go back to a lot of the early 2000s emo, pop punk, screamo standards that I would fuck with back then.
Yeah, there were so many bands that like again, like we just got so excited that it started getting cold or dry air in Florida, like where it was nice, where it still was dog shit during the day, but like at nighttime we could fucking roam around like a bunch of fucking street punks and fucking, you know what I mean? Like it was just it was like one of those things that was like it's wholesome, it's wholesome memories tied to like pretty fucked up music, you know, considering like well not I guess Square, you know,
Yeah.
an animal and whatnot, and I'm talking like the Guar, like the when they're putting out movies and shit, like
Yeah.
peak Guar, like old
Yeah.
Guar. It's just, and I don't know. It's weird thinking like what songs and memories are tied to certain seasons or holidays for us. Like you were talking about Thrice earlier. Visu is one of my favorite December albums. Is it's just so it gives me like a feeling like such a cold feeling and such like a like because is even though December is such a like like joyous as far as like the celebration of like holidays, Jesus and shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like people are excited. Like it's still also the beginning of like the coldest time of year. The coldest fucking
Yeah.
month. And like it's such a cold isolating album. I fucking love Visu. I'll listen to it in December, every December, probably start to start like front to back at least like 6 times. Like I like probably at least once or twice each week. It's just it's one of those things I highly recommend it because it's just one of those things that just reminds me of that month. And again, of Florida, hanging out at the pier.
Mm.
I used to around the time I got that album, a lot of memories that were tied to that. It was actually got that as a gift to somebody else, like because I was like I loved it so much, and it was a buddy Elliot, and he worked at the pier, so we would hang out and fuck with the pelicans at the pier. You'd go to give them a fish, and as they come up, you just spray them in the beak with the hose. But then you
Hell yeah.
yeah,
Florida hijinks. That sounds
oh,
fun.
yeah. But that's what I'm saying is like there's so many. It's weird that like that these are the ones. I mean, I doubt I'll be playing Guar on the house radio, you know, like you know the whatever home
Yeah.
sound system when we have family over to visit. But like Visu might be an acceptable album, you know, certain songs off of Visu that would like it'll be nice to have that connection to my past, you know
Yeah.
what I mean, over the years. But it's just it's weird because with our families, I think it's all like old standards or classics or like what we consider to be oldies. You know, they're making a show called That's 90s Show, and it is a continuation from that 70s show, but now the grandparents, the Red and Kitty essentially are taking care of the other kids essentially.
Oh,
So like, but that made me
Hyde's
think
not
that
gonna be
I was
in
like,
it.
that's kind of yeah, right. But I was like, I'm thinking like, oh, okay, so yeah, that's crazy. It seems a little too early, but okay, whatever. And I'm thinking, like, no, that 70s show was only about 20 or 30 years after the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
It's been 20 or 30 years since the 90s. And I'm like, holy fuck, dude.
No, right
Holy
now,
fuck.
no, dude, right now, if you can figure out if you can figure out something that harnesses nostalgia that doesn't suck, you're gonna make a shit ton of money because just the way things are, like a lot of people our age are sort of they're these incessant like man childs.
Yep.
And people don't, there's a big thing of like not wanting to grow up. There's a huge movement of people like, no one wants to have kids, which that's fine. That's your prerogative and shit like that. You know what I mean? There's
Too
like
many of them already.
but you know what I mean? There's just this like there's this like you meet so many people our age and there's this obsession with adolescence and shit like that and also everyone our age has fucking student loans that they're buried under all this other shit. You can't, everything's too expensive, you can't find a house. So people are always trying to find that warm hug, and I think nostalgia is the best way to give them that warm hug. And
Shrooms also.
what?
Also mushrooms.
Yeah, or just don't be a pussy and try heroin.
Yeah, this fentanyl and everything, but
no, but I mean, if you're scared, don't try heroin.
pussy, don't try heroin.
Yeah, if you're a little fucking bitch boy, don't try heroin. But seriously, don't try heroin. But I think there's a huge huge. But no, for real, there's a huge market for nostalgia right now. So I think if they make that 90s show and it's actually good,
yeah,
it's gonna fucking dude, it just needs to be okay.
It's the same world, as long as it's in the same world, because that we watched the Christmas Story Christmas.
Yeah.
Have you watched that? It's the sequel to A Christmas Story. It's actually, dude, it fucking cried a couple times.
Really?
Speaking of being a pussy, I definitely teared a couple different times. And it's, I'm not going to give any of it away, but I think maybe it's nostalgia. Maybe, but it didn't feel like that. It just felt like a true continuation. I think they're doing a good job of bringing up these nostalgic things. What's another one they just kind of rebooted recently? The Hocus Pocus, the second Hocus Pocus one.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't necessarily love the first one when I was a kid, but it has some nostalgic values to it. But the second one,
I don't know. I think we need Hocus Pocus because it's a good red flag to be like, how obsessed is your chick with Hocus Pocus?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's like my chick, she gets excited for Hocus Pocus, but she'll just probably watch it on her own. She never makes me watch it, this and that. If the girl you're talking to, you see how much Hocus Pocus affects her state of mind. And if it's more than a 6, fucking 180 and boogie, baby.
Get out of there.
Get the heck out of there.
Heck out of there, because if somebody was like, so this actually is a funny story. I have a friend of mine that they hosted a screening of Hocus Pocus 2 in their backyard, and they like dressed up as them. Everything.
Damn, he needs to either impregnate her.
It's done. It's
over. He has 2 kids.
It's done. It's like
that's rough.
This was a fun night in the neighborhood, and I was like, this is cool, but I'm also like, it's an okay movie.
That's the other thing. That's the other thing too. When you start getting to our age and you start having people hosting theme parties.
Yeah.
That's when that's another thing you can sort of teeter on to be like, what extent are we doing this? And then because when I was in college, theme parties made sense to like whatever you were into, get some pussy, get some dick. It made sense for that. You know what I mean? But like the older you get, like, I don't know, maybe
I think the more married you are, I think that's what it is. Like, cause we're a couple of married dogs. So I think that's where we're at the point where the more content you are in your relationship, the less like fools you're going to suffer. And that's the thing. It's because that's the thing. I think if Dom had a Harry Potter themed party once, but then hasn't had one since, because I think she saw how much work it was and was like, we can go to a party, but also like, we got that out of our system.
Yeah. Well, and it's also too like what you put those parties up against.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if you were like if you hit me up and you were like, Andy, I'm having people over. All the chairs are broken. I don't know.
Pat showed up first. All the chairs are broken.
You'll be like, all the chairs are broken. I don't have anywhere to sit. I will have food, but I don't know what I'm gonna have. And we got a bunch of beers and stuff. And then you were like, And they were like, also, we're showing the fights. I was like, oh, I'm there. That's going to be a great fucking night. Like,
Yeah.
even all those loose, shitty ingredients there,
You know, the
like,
company's gonna be fun.
it's enough that, and you're like, okay, so like, I know for a fact, like, if you and all my other boys are there, I know that's going to be a great night. And like, whenever you have these theme parties, you're like, you're actually making the likelihood that it's going to suck higher.
Yeah.
And you're putting in more effort to make it the fun time riskier.
This is a great point, and I love it.
So I'm just like, why? I don't know, dude. Like, why when like minimal effort will be a substantially better party, bro? Literally, if you got Domino's, a 30 rack, and fucking UFC pay-per-view,
big screen, something not even big screen, a good TV, a nice TV, and a comfortable, not even comfortable. It doesn't have to be comfortable. I'll stand the whole night. I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter.
I'll sit on the floor.
Yeah, it's
You
legitimate.
got free beers and pizza in UFC.
Yeah,
I'll stand most of the time. Maybe, you know, get an old Chinese man squat, smoke a cigarette.
I think this was my first 5 years of watching UFC because like a buddy of mine would order them. He would have the box, the cable unhooked, or you know, like the free cable and shit like that. Black box, is that what it's called? Like where you get all the channels and shit. Him and his roommates had that.
Oh,
but
yeah.
But obviously, I'm one of the youngest people there. I'm newer to the friend group anyway.
Yeah.
There's not enough seats anyway. I would happily lay on the floor and watch UFC for free. It's like one of those things. Yeah, do you want some nachos? Whatever's left. You guys have some first. I'll eat whatever you don't. I don't give a fuck. I'm low maintenance, bro.
People act like parties are so fucking complicated.
So simple.
You know what I think it is? You know what I think it is? Like, and this podcast is a great example of like you and me can just talk.
Yeah.
And I think we get less scared to like be able to jump in the mix at a party. But dude, like I would go over to my wife's cousins. You go over, they'd have a bunch of dope food, and you'd open up the cooler and it'd be like a million different beers. And I'd be like, that's all I need.
That's it.
I'm fucking ecstatic right now. How'd we get on this topic?
Because we're talking about nostalgia.
Oh yeah. Well, no, I think with everything
we're talking about nostalgia went into theme parties, and theme parties said, "Don't try."
Oh, that was it. We said the thing about Hocus Pocus.
And honestly, you can. It's one of those things. I'm not even dogging on you for dressing up or like or being really into a thing. If you want to do that work and you want to do that, totally, that's your thing. But like, I went to early on, and this is I think why I'm so triggered by theme parties in general. We early on into my youth, a friend of my best friend growing up, Robert, we called him Beef. We would
Why?
me and him. Honestly, it was. You want to know the origin of it?
Yeah.
One night we were playing this stupid drinking game where this girl was like, "Oh, we gotta make up nicknames for everybody with B," and I was Bruce, and his ended up being Beef, and it just stuck. That's it.
That's a good nickname.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Beef. It's just.
I'd be pumped to get beef.
And it's one of those
Pat, I would be so pumped to get some beef.
Okay, all right. Well, I'll keep that in mind around Christmas time. Maybe you'll get a certain text message, huh? Maybe I'll tag you and go, "Hey, my buddy Beef here, huh?"
Yo, you better come over with some gift wrapped, something gift wrapped that's just leaking,
just red liquid.
Yeah, exactly.
We would go like they would always like invite us to parties because we were like I think early on we were the people that were comfortable talking to people, having a good time. We were kind of the life of the party, if I may. they were like, "Hey, we're having a party at Anna's house, and it's a pajama party," and we're like, "Yeah, all right, whatever. We're not fucking." Because by the way, I don't fucking own pajamas. I'm not gonna buy pajamas to wear something I don't wear to your party because that's the fucking theme. I'm not doing that. I sleep in my boxers, and I'm not showing up in my boxers. So I'll just come to the party, and we'll just not be in pajamas, and we'll. Just
and also, too, by the time
you invite me, you know what I mean? Like
by the time you're in your 30s, too, like how have you not done enough shit that you can just have stories and stuff, or have an interesting enough career? Like my we were just over at my wife's cousins, and I was talking to her husband, and the dude makes and sells his own jewelry, and like I was literally like just asking him the details of like all of that shit, and you're just like, how is there not someone interesting enough that you could like fucking ask them about stuff like that?
Right.
But yeah,
so we ended up going to the apartment. We got to the door, and when they like opened the door, they saw that we weren't wearing pajamas, and they wouldn't let us into the party. And
Oh,
I was
that's
like,
psychotic.
what the fuck? And I was just kind of like, I don't give a fuck what it is. If I'm having a themed party, everyone's allowed to come in whatever the fuck they want. I'm having the theme party. Like, it's one of those things. Like, if I'm inviting you, I'm saying, hey, you're invited to my Power Ranger themed party. I'm 5 years old apparently, but it's like, but if you invite somebody to a party and then go, if like, to me, dude, it is nuts to have a themed party with that strict of rules.
Yeah.
I haven't experienced it since then, really. But there are people that have costume parties that have this. Like, to me, you don't have to have that kind of party. You don't have to have that kind of theme. If you want to, that's cool. But you also need to be open to people like me and Andy that are like, we're comfortable in our own personalities. We don't have to pretend to be anybody else. We
What?
don't have
Yeah,
to.
is that what is it though? Because I was joking earlier. I was about to be like, all right, we need to stop talking about this and talk about music. But now I'm like intrigued on the subject because I'm like, why am I being a fucking humbug? Why does like a theme party give me such utter like, dude? It's so even on Halloween, like it's so hard for me to do anything unironic on that day. Like like I remember one time we were in a fucking because Steph loves Halloween. And
Yeah.
I think girls are allowed to get more of a pass on that because that's like way more like when you get to our age, that's way more of like a girl
Yeah.
thing. But I even told her I was just like, I'm not. I love you to death, baby. I'll do a lot of dumb shit with you, but I'm not doing like a couple's costume.
Yeah.
And there was like, I remember I was like, dude, I spent like 30 minutes in a Halloween store just trying to find something that wouldn't make me utterly uncomfortable.
Right.
And I think I said, well, also too at my size, all the fucking I got to get a little creative because all those costumes are not big enough. They don't fit me. But I think I just settled on like a Spider-Man costume because it looks so stupid on me. But I remember one year I was just like, I can't do this. So I bought a captain's hat for like a boat, and I just kept making the joke like I'm Captain Stabbing. Like just you never watch those pornos.
No, no.
Oh damn! I thought Captain Stabbing would be a poll you'd get.
Writing it down.
It was a part of the Bang Bros universe, the BCU, the BBCU Bang Bros universe,
That's
Bang
interesting.
Bros cinematic universe.
You make it to the bus.
Yeah. What?
Was he in the bus?
Well, so here's the thing: you'd get on the bus, and if they didn't kick you out in a random industrial park,
Uh-huh.
they'd get onto Captain Stabbin's boat,
Huh?
and he'd
Uh,
fuck you on the boat.
well, I don't think I ever watched a lot of the boat stuff from Bang Bros. I gotta have to
Do you like
take a
Do you
peek
like
at
Bang
that.
Bus?
Yeah, of
Did you ever want it to be on the sea?
course.
Well,
Every day.
Captain Stabbin's gonna
I tried to have a
Captain's
theme party once where I had a bang bus on the sea as the theme.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you know what it is. I think it's like what you choose to be genuine about, and
Yeah.
that's why I try not to be. I think my whole life is trying to be like, am I being too pretentious right now? Because it
Yeah.
is kind of, I don't know. It
Well,
is
it's
kind.
subjective. Everything is subjective. Everything's on the scale and everything's subjective.
Well,
You know
I
what I
look
mean?
at the stuff. I look at the stuff I'm into, and I'm just like, I don't know if you have the right to be pretentious. It's like you're obsessed with like Call of Duty. You're obsessed with like Call of Duty, Metalcore, and 9/11. Like, I don't think you have the right to be pretentious.
Yeah. I really
And I joke, I'm not obsessed with 9/11 as everyone thinks. I just have some questions. That's it.
it's weird because it happened in our lifetime. We
Yeah.
were there. We were all of us were there. We don't forget.
Actually, truthfully, I get more obsessed with what happened after 9/11. But anyway, go
Yeah,
on.
a lot of the bullshit after. But I think it's more of like when you were saying earlier, you were joking about the being an artist and stuff like that. I love everything about being an artist, but I've got a lot of times the ego of it, the of an artist. But I think like it's a very frail, like kind of like. But I also have a mindset that I somehow I've gotten to the point where if I do get criticized for something I love, my first thing is to get like, hey, but then I have the fuck you. This is because of like any experience, like the bullshit that I've experienced,
Yeah.
bullshit parties and stuff like that. If I have the interest that I have, and I try to force other people to be as interested in them as I am, I would feel like a
Yeah.
fucking piece of shit. But I've gotten to a point early on where
Uh,
I'm like, you know what? Yeah, some people love Alice in Wonderland.
no,
Whatever.
you know what? Yes, that's why you know what? That's why the party annoys me because
Yeah.
I don't like Harry or whatever the party is. I'm not calling
Yeah.
out Dom's Harry Potter,
No, no, but no, it's the same
but
thing.
it's like
Yeah.
say I was invited to a Hocus Pocus party.
Right.
What am I saying? Hocus Pocus party? No, Hocus Pocus party. Say I get invited to a Hocus Pocus party. I go, you're asking me to meet you where you're at, and I can't do that. That's what I get. I remember I was talking that with it's why it was like hard for me to get into Kendrick's new album, because with every Kendrick album, and they're all very good. I'm not gonna sit here and say like, oh, it was bad, but just like you watch the music video, and within the span of like a 3-minute music video, he cuts to like 50 different deep images that you have to fucking
Yeah.
take a college course to understand what he's fucking talking about. And there is a thing where it's just like, I almost feel like there should be like it's almost like, yo, your album should be Kendrick 101. And then if I want to get real deep into your shit, you can have like an offshoot for me to get into and this and that. I just like with certain things, it's like you're asking a lot from me, and I don't feel like I'm getting enough in return. So a
Right.
Hocus Pocus party where it's like, what's the layout of the land? Or am I going to show up and it's going to be like, if I put on this Hocus Pocus outfit, are you going to compensate me enough with your food and beverage?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So like when I go over to, once
It's gonna
again,
be like, it's gonna be, oh yeah, like the movie.
yeah. So once again, when I go over to my wife's cousins, they're like, oh, we're going to be adults doing a costume party. But
Right.
here's what happens. If I put on that Spider-Man outfit, I go over, they got shit ton of liquor. They got a big cooler with a bunch of beers I've never had. They've got some of the best ziti I've ever had. They've got a spread from this awesome Greek restaurant, all this shit. So I go, oh yeah, the price of admission, that costume, it's worth it.
Right. And not only that, but also they would understand, like I think that's the thing is if I'm willing to put the effort in, I think that's the thing is I don't feel comfortable enough wearing just a what, like you said, like, oh, I'm a captain guy, or I'm Gordon's fisherman. I just wore a fucking yellow raincoat and fucking hat or something like that. Like shit like that is, I think that's not the kind of thing. That's the kind of thing you would wear if you're like, oh, we have to go to this fucking party.
Yeah.
But in that case, you're like, okay, well, now I'm going to try to think of I don't mind thinking of a fun costume for a party. I can get into it if I know it, like you said, like if I know it's going to be a good time.
Yeah.
If I get to, I think it's just about the thing where like, it's like going to the Renaissance Festival. It's one of those things that like, I enjoy myself going there and looking at stuff. But if you try to bring me into that world, I'm gonna be like, no, thank you.
See, I
like,
would.
I don't like to be. I don't like. It's so fucking strange that I'm in such. Like. That's why I think I like stand up so much, is because it's a monologue and it's not like a thing where like I don't have to bring other people into it. I can, and that's the thing. But like, it's not like improv where I'm like, who wants to help me out, or like I need an assistant. Anybody out here want to help with this magic trick? It's that kind of thing of it's being brought into that, forced into that world.
Yeah.
But again, low key, the party I went to was a themed party that they weren't making people go into, but they weren't forcing people to wear costumes at the Hocus Pocus party. But once you start going, you start like doing this thing where you're like, oh, hello, my pretty. You're like, oh, yeah, I gotta go.
Well,
I can't do this. You know what I mean? Like,
well, yeah, and also too
it's so weird that I have that impulse. I don't know.
Well, no, I hate when people see. I get really annoyed with certain things like that when people don't acknowledge what the aspect of the thing they like. What aspect of that is stupid? So, like someone being dead serious at a Hocus Pocus party, I'm just like, you're not acknowledging that this was an okay movie that's just hitting you the right way because you watched it as a little kid.
Right.
And now it turned into a tradition. And as humans, we love having a routine. So acknowledge that that's what's happening right now.
Right.
And then I can go to your Hocus Pocus party. But if you just if you don't acknowledge that there's stupid aspects of this, I'm going to have a bad time and you're going to make me uncomfortable.
Right. And that's the thing is the more you commit, the worse it's gonna feel for me. So, so just go into that. It's like, so if you're planning a themed party or if you're planning any kind of get-togethers coming up, oh, it's fun. We're having an ugly sweater party. If somebody shows up in a nice sweater, don't be a piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like, or if they show up in a fucking long sleeve shirt, look, they're you invited them to their party. If you
Yeah.
it's if they don't want, you don't call them a fuddy duddy, just consider yourself an asshole for considering saying that to someone.
Hell yeah. You heard it here first. Don't invite us to your fucking parties. Because our cheery attitude won't be there.
Notice how like both of our inboxes are completely empty, but we're like, yeah, well, we didn't fucking want to go to your party anyway.
That is really me though, by the way. I was thinking about it where what the fuck? I was thinking about a thing recently. I am a real like I didn't want to go. I just wanted to be asked to go.
Yeah. It's just nice. It's like one of those things of like somebody goes, they're like, oh, we went to the game this weekend. We went to blah blah blah, and like all this stuff. I'm like, I wanted to go, but like as they're explaining it, I'm just like, that sounds like a fucking nightmare. All those people trying to get a huge group of people to agree on something is terrible. So I definitely,
dude, it just goes back to the original point where you're just like, geez, just understand like what this is for other people and make it accommodating for other people's fucking time.
have essentially have a smoking section for fuddy duddies. You know, have a little section where we can just go and just be like, this is a lot, right? And just be like, yeah, this is a fucking lot. And just be like, okay, are you guys, you feel mentally ready? Yeah, I feel mentally ready. Hey, oh, whoa, is that a dragon? Oh, this is fun.
Am I a fuddy duddy? I don't know. I just think I don't know. I just think everything fucking sucks. I don't think I'm a fuddy duddy.
I think they're just a bunch of duddies.
Yeah.
And we're just fuddy.
Well, no, you know what it is for me, and it's why I like podcasting, and it's why I like a simple like bar hang. Is I'm like, I think a lot of people need a lot of flair, and I get annoyed when people add too much flair. You know what I mean? Like my friends were obsessed with going when I was in high school. I had these friends obsessed with going to like a hookah bar, and I was just like, hookah sucks.
Yeah.
We're just tasting fucking strawberry all night.
Right.
The fucking we're all none of us are 21, so we're not drinking. The fucking music's loud as shit, so we can't have a conversation.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like this isn't fun. I don't know. I was always content with like, let's just sit around and talk shit.
Technically,
because that's all we're gonna do. No matter where we go, that's all we're gonna do. So why are we gonna waste a shitload of money going to this fucking spot that's all like glittery and shiny and all this other shit when we're just gonna do this anyway.
Let's go do this in a garage, damn it.
Let's go do it in the fucking area we can but no, you know what I mean? But it's like I'll go out when like the option, like I remember we've gone axe throwing. That's fun because it's just hanging out. Plus we get to fucking throw axes and shit like that. And I know axe throwing makes me a basic bitch, but that was the first example that popped into my head.
No, but that's probably the most recent example. Like that, it's the thing where you can do things with your friends and not have it to be that. But unfortunately, Andy, I wanna warn you. This is technically fuddy duddy talk.
All right. Well, then I'm a proud fuddy dudder.
But but fuddy duddies don't have to necessarily be a piece of shit. Like it's only when we're attacked. I think if you're willing to meet fuddy duddies halfway and be like, hey, look. The more I say that, let's not go to Dave and Buster's. Why don't we go to mini golf? Why don't we let's go play some putt and slam some beers?
See, I would do Dave and Buster's over mini golf.
Really?
Yeah, Dave and Buster's sounds way more fun.
Well, I mean, as far as if you want to hang out with your friends, like if you want to talk, shoot around it, like hang around and talk shit, that's like the place you go is the more like the not necessarily the hookah bar. But you just have, I think we're fire pit guys. Maybe that's what it is.
No, I'm just like
fire pit dudes.
No, I have a lot when it comes to like hanging out. I just have like a lot of practicality in my fucking mind. So whenever like someone wants to go like to a big loud club, none of it seems fucking practical. Especially to, you know what it is?
I agree.
You know what it is too? I think like even when I was single, I wasn't like a big one night stand guy. So I clash with like my getting pussy energy is different than like the classic getting pussy energy. You know what I mean?
It's not I don't like beep 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 beep. Like you don't always have to be on the prowl.
Not necessarily, because when I was younger, I was very like on the prowl for some pussy and stuff like that. But it was just I just had different methods. Like I knew I went into it, I interacted with enough women to be like, all right, this ain't I'm not just getting this on my looks. You know what I mean? So anytime the suggestion of a loud club came up, I was just like, oh, I'm shit out of luck. So let's not do that.
Yeah.
Because I'd like to get pussy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, let's go to some, and then it's because like I was saying before, like most interactions just boil down to people sitting around a table talking. So can we do that where it's not the fucking loudest?
Yeah.
Where because and also too a lot of that is just it goes back to like some shit I was saying earlier where I was just like these parameters we're just lying to ourselves. Like we're adding extra shit to make it feel more special when it's like all we just want to do is just fucking talk shit.
Right.
Yeah. All right. We got super off topic. I really want to talk about this. I really want to talk about this t-shirt you told me about. I'll let you go into this while we bring it up. Pat, explain. So I was joking with Pat because he had an idea where he wanted to talk about another NoFX thing. And I was just like, Pat, we can't just be, and now the irony is I want to talk about Every Time I Die later in the episode. And I was like, we can't just be like a NoFX Every Time I Die Dance Gavin Dance podcast. But at the same time, he showed me this and I laughed my fucking ass off because at the end of the day, Fat Mike, if he's not anything, he's goddamn hilarious. So Pat, explain what we're looking at right now.
So for Black Friday, I was emailed because I'm on the email list. This is the cease and desist special, I guess, for Black Friday. It's a cease and desist 182 black T-shirt, and this is a a portrayal of Blink 182 in its full form. We've got the Marks, we got the Toms, we got the Travises, and who's that little guy over there? It's Fat Mike's friendly owned what? Matt Skiba. So it's the 4-piece of and it says NoFX right above him in their classic bullseye logo.
Yeah, and I was just looking at I'm like, this is the perfect level of stupid.
Yeah.
It's funny too, because it's like the shirt itself paints Blink 182 into a corner where it's like if they just kind of have to let him do it.
Do you see where your cursor is right now? Matt Skiba has his arm around around Tom DeLonge's shoulder.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's a we support Matt Skiba protest. It's about the recent talk of Blink 182 and NoFX having some kind of beef. That song that we were talking about that he was supposed to be a Blink 182 song.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly how deep this goes, but it is right up my alley as far as shit talk / trolling.
Just being a dickhead.
Just being an all-around dickhead.
It's so fucking funny, dude.
So funny. $25, I think, well earned.
That's a good price for a t-shirt.
And it's even, I think, an older picture of Travis too, because isn't he a lot more built now?
I don't know.
Like an old promo picture.
It's a good question. Like they're literally just using their likeness.
Yeah, they're 100%. And so it's my favorite thing that, first of all, that's what the pre-sale is, because it's a pre-sale available from Black Friday through Cyber Monday. And it's just a $25 shirt that I think they're just seeing how many it's still available. I checked before we did I mean, obviously you're doing it right now, but it's still, you can still order it. It's still able to be purchased all around the United States. It says it's supposed to ship around the 9th of December. So as far as I know, either you're right. I think that's a great point that you brought up. The fact that this paints Blink 182 into a corner in a way, because either they're going to, I would assume, fight it. Like try to get the money, sue them for using their likeness, or
they're just gonna, because they're already like,
what do you think the repercussions would be of this? Like, would I'm assuming get a cease and desist from Blink 182?
Well, yeah, it would go about the same way any legal thing would go about, where they would send them a cease and desist, and then if he didn't cease and desist, they would sue him. But so like,
what would that mean? Like they couldn't sell it?
What?
That would mean like even like whatever ones would be sold, they would just refund it? Or
well, it all depends on what Blink 182 wants to do. I'm sure if they hit him with the cease and desist before the weekend was over, they wouldn't send out any shirts. they'd probably just refund everyone. But yeah, I don't know. It's just fucking hilarious because, like I said, it paints them into a corner because Blink 182, well, whatever happens, it's only gonna help Fat Mike and it's only gonna hurt Blink 182.
Yeah,
Because
like
most people are gonna. Because here's the thing, most people probably don't know this is happening. Like when I Googled it, it's like hard to find. Like it wasn't coming up right away when I Googled it.
Yeah,
It's not like it's not so. Blink 182 doing anything is only going to bring a lot more attention to it. And then you run the risk of Blink 182 being like, oh, you guys are dorks now. You can't take a joke. And then it's only going to help NoFX's new album sell. So it's honestly a perfect move for Fat Mike because if nothing happens, he makes some money selling a funny shirt.
right.
But if Blink 182 does do some shit, it only helps the album.
This is so to me, this is the only way Blink 182 can fucking respond to this is by like on at least if they do a televised performance, obviously, or on their tour at some point they come out in these shirts, or at least one of them one of them comes out wearing the shirt. I feel like that's the only way they can even respond.
Yeah,
with keeping. But do they? But at this point, do they really give a shit about credibility? Do you think? Do you know what I mean? Like, is there a move where they're going to be like, well, we don't want to give them a cease and desist and just look like assholes, or do they have their sense of humor intact enough to be like, these guys, you know what? Give me a large of that bitch.
I hope I hope it's that. I think they have a sense of humor about it.
Because even still, I don't know how malicious this is, but maybe this is kind of maybe they're giving the money to Matt Skiba because they're like, hey, you kind of got fucked over by these guys.
They're probably not doing that.
Or maybe they're trying to get the money they would have gotten from the fucking Ziggies.
I think they were probably drinking and he had a funny idea. That's probably all that happened.
And goddamn it, it worked.
It was real funny. Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that to my attention. That's fucking hilarious, dude.
Yes. So apparently if you aren't on the mailing list already and you want to check it out, just go to their merch store. It's available through Cyber Monday.
Yeah. So
maybe even after. Who knows?
That was hilarious. So this last thing I want to bring up because this happened the other day and we haven't really talked about it, but there's a little bit of update in the new I don't even know what to call it.
Technically, this isn't Every Time I Die talk. This is Jordan Buckley's new band talk.
Yeah. Whatever the new band that happens to be comprised of a lot of ex-members of Every Time I Die.
Right.
Yeah, and so they posted some shit. When is this? November 15th. So they this shit's they posted some shit like 2 weeks ago. But it's a lot of like similar type shit. So we'll just focus on the new stuff that they posted. But either way, it's pretty exciting. Let's get a little taste. Oh, wait, I don't know if I hit it with the sound option. Here we go. Share sound. Wow. Here, wait, that was really loud.
It's good though.
Yeah. Here, wait.
This does kind of have some of the guitar in it too. Drums.
What? Go again?
The last one I feel like was just mainly.
Sorry.
The last one was just mainly drums. I feel like this one has a lot more guitar in it.
Yeah. That was a big thing about the last one where like you couldn't really get a good gauge. You couldn't really get like a huge gauge on like what the stuff sounded like because it was just like the drumming from Every Time I Die. So it just sounded like a very it's like some Every Time I Die type shit.
Hey,
but here, let's get more of a taste.
By the way, hold on real quick. Are they in Allentown? It says shout out to Allentown Pizza.
Oh yeah, I think their bassist actually lives in Allentown.
Holy shit.
Because I saw him driving around. I saw him posting on his Instagram, on his Instagram story, and he posted like if you go into the center of Allentown, like that big fucking statue that's there of whoever that fucking dude is, and he like tagged it hashtag Allentown or some shit like that. And I was like, oh, does my man live in fucking Allentown? I mean, it's not crazy that they would live there. Like a lot of the band lives in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Wow.
Don't hate that either. Coming back to the snare once is cool.
See if there's any other stuff. Looks like they had some tasty food
From Allentown Pizza.
from Allentown Pizza.
That I think that is first of all, that's cool finding out that the dudes from fucking Allentown, they might be
Yeah.
recording in Allentown, buddy.
I think they are. If they ate at Allentown Pizza, I mean, unless they have a cheap delivery fee and they're gonna send it all the way up to Buffalo
Dude, we should go
and stalk them.
find them.
We should find them.
You guys
hunt
need us
them
to
down.
record you while you record.
But yeah, no, that's got me excited. I definitely from the sound of it and the quick turnaround of it, it sounds like it's gonna be Every Time I Die with a new lead singer.
That's what it sounds like. It's going to be and we don't even still know, by the way, exactly who's the lead singer is going to be, right?
Well, and that's the other thing I was gonna say. They're being really smart about it too, where it's like they only showed the drummer and Jordan and shit like that. Because definitely when it comes to this new project, that's the big question. You know what I mean? Like even what the name of the band is even gonna be fucking second place. You know what I mean? No, like who gives a fuck about the name of the band? It's like the big question right now is like, you know, even though it's a new band, the question is like who's gonna replace Keith?
Right.
Yeah. So
I
think they're being very smart, not revealing that. Yeah, man, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm very excited to check this out because having more Every Time I Die or Every Time I Die adjacent projects in the world is always a good thing in my mind.
Yeah, I think that the thing with this is like it's I wonder how much it's going to remind us of Every Time I Die, because again, a big thing with Every Time I Die was Keith's lyrics. It wasn't necessarily just, it wasn't like so I wonder, do you think
Keith's lyrics are a huge structural, like a huge pillar of Every Time I Die?
And not only that, but it's also like as far as like the identity. So like obviously this isn't Every Time I Die. I understand that. It kind of is. It mainly is, but it does seem like even for day 2, they're getting a lot. They have a lot already completed. So obviously there is going to be a lot of Every Time I Die in here. Do you think whoever the lead singer is takes an opportunity to, like, is there going to be any, not a diss track, but do you think that there's going to be anything personal to Every Time I Die subject matter wise lyrically going forward? Like, I know this is all obviously this is all speculation. They're going to have a lead singer.
You think is the lead singer going to shit on Keith?
Yeah, do you think that there's going to be any kind of not
probably not,
like, but like they have to address it.
I'd see
address it somehow.
I mean, they addressed it a decent amount. Already, you know what I mean? And I think the closest you're gonna get, because like unless the lead singer was like a close friend who interacted with Keith and didn't like him, I think the closest thing you're gonna see, because if you were paying attention to, like, you know, if you're like deep into the band subreddit like I am, people would post shit where like Andy, their guitarist, who's also an AEW wrestler, like people would say shit on Twitter, and there was like a tweet or two where he was kind of like taking nothing crazy, but like taking shots, because like definitely Keith's whole thing seemed to not blindside, but like ending the band seemed to blindside the other members and shit like that. So I think you're gonna see either shit like them doing like little jabs at live shows or like on Twitter. But
yeah, you're right.
I think it's smart too for the new lead singer, because here's the thing. I think a lot of people are like us, where they're kind of like annoyed with Keith, but they're not like, fuck you, dude. You know what I mean?
They're going to compare him like, okay, so there's going to be a lot of, there's a lot of crossover fan wise, AEW and Every Time I Die. What's two favorite things of both of these fan bases? Chants. So dude, if this new guy fucks up, there's gonna be a lot of "You're not Keith, you're not Keith, you're
Yeah.
not," you know what I mean? There's gonna be a lot of so. I think, and this is maybe this is a better way. Maybe what if there's got to be some kind of like the name of the album moving forward double ellipses or something like that, or like because there's no way, and it's not just us, there's no way that other people, other fans aren't going to compare this to Every Time I Die, this lead
course
singer
they
to
are.
Keith,
Yeah.
anything. So the music's obviously there, we can hear that, it sounds fucking incredible. Just the little bits that they're getting, they're putting out there sound awesome. Like there has to be some kind of address, I guess. Like there has to
Mhm.
be, you know what I mean? Like whether it be in the titles of the songs, in the title of the album, or like I think your way of saying it, like live. If this guy can't fucking bring it live, whoever it is, or lady, could be a lady. That's how you get away from it too. That's how that you don't compare them, because then you're like lady lead singer. Oh, what if they go lady lead singer?
Probably not.
Because then you're not going to compare it to Keith. You're going to be like, this is a whole new thing.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think well, I think truthfully it because like the point I was getting at earlier is like there I think the general vibe is sort of like kind of annoyed with Keith, but it's not a complete like fuck you, Keith. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like if the band just started coming out and if the band just started coming out and was just constantly shitting on Keith, I'd just kind of be like, that's not really cool. Like I'm not really here for that. And I think most fans would be kind of they wouldn't like it if the band just started shitting on Keith a bunch. So I think it's actually really smart. You know, they might try to poke a little comedic jabs here and there, but I actually think it's smart for the band not to spend a lot of time shitting
Like,
on Keith.
shit
But
talking,
but
yeah.
but I'm sure with anything artistic, they're gonna have to acknowledge the past. You know what I mean? But I think it'd be very smart of them not to. And I don't think they will. But I think it'd be very smart for them not to get shitty in reference to Keith.
How do you think their Thanksgiving was? The Buckleys.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even. I bet you he didn't come over
When was that post? Hold on. When was that post? Was that
2 days ago
fuck
or 1 day ago.
like 1 day ago?
I think he posted, but they could have been doing that a week ago. You know what I mean?
But I'm saying like he waited to post it until like, oh, okay, yeah. So, like maybe they were really cool after Thanksgiving, or maybe he just said something shitty. He's just, you know what? I'm just gonna share this real quick. I'm fucking Instagram.
Pat, did you just got done watching a CW show? All you want is like fucking high school drama.
Dude, because they're not. Look, I want to know: are they okay, or the status of the relationship? If as is has there been contact? Is there any kind of like, has the dust settled at all? Are they hanging out on Thanksgiving? Or are they not? Like, dude, this is their family, but they were in a group together that fucking, like you said, pretty abruptly ended.
Pat, what are we? The metalcore page 6?
Hey, look, I'm making hay where the sun's shining. Okay, there's drama in all the
if
bands that I love, and I'm very interested. I'm invested in this. I don't
If
give a
I
fuck
were
about
to
the
guess-
Kardashians. I care about the Buckleys.
I'm trying to keep up with the Buckleys.
Motherfucker, I'm trying to keep the fuck up with the fucking Buckley.
Keeping up with the Buckleys.
Keeping the fuck up with the Buck.
If I were to guess, I'm saying that I'm guessing they didn't go over to each other's house on Thanksgiving.
Okay,
That's
so
my
now who's
guess.
speculating? Jeez, keep
You're-
it in your pants, Andy.
I don't. You son of a bitch! Just turn it around on me.
Oh, can we move on? I mean, jeez.
Yes, we should, because I think that's the end of the episode.
Yeah, we squoze all the juice out of this lemon.
All the juice has been squozed. Guys, gals, everyone in between. Thanks for hanging out with us. I've been Pat. He's been Andy. We love you all. I fucked that up. Doesn't matter. Nothing matters. I love you all. Have a great night. Be about it. Peace.